What are some dumb purchases you made? Lifetime mega video subscription. It was shut down shortly afterwards for copyright infringement. Well, you get what you paid for. It was just that it was for Mega Video's lifetime, not yours. Anyone who requested a refund got one. This is the best argument for a laugh react option on Reddit. Mega Video. Lifetime subscription. So many unnecessary things early on in college. It was the first time I had some kind of income from working a part-time job, so I thought it was absolutely necessary to buy all my textbooks instead of renting them or finding them online for free. I also spent a fuck ton on dorm room stuff, which hardly anyone was going to see or care about since the dorms came furnished anyway. Lessons learned. I definitely pass on that advice to anyone going into college in the US. No one told me there was an alternative to buying textbooks, so I ate the cost of new books for a few years. Eventually I stopped buying the books, could sometimes tell when a professor didn't really intend to use the book, or started looking on Amazon for used ones. When I was attending college, back in 2010-12, the whole Chegg concept was still kinda new to me, and textbook rental stores were few and far between. It also didn't help that the textbook rental stores were all owned by the unit. My partner went out to buy vegetables for dinner and came home with a kayak. He forgot the vegetables, and the kayak has never been used. What store did he go to that sells sea vessels near the fresh veg? TK Maxx. They sell everything. It's right next door to Asda where he was meant to get the veg from. Fuck TK Maxx. My local one has those mosquito devices to scare of teenagers. I'm having great hearing as a 22-year-old and sensory processing disorder, and I can't physically stay in that place. Should be forbidden. When I was 17 I had unknowingly saved up a lot $2,000 from work. I chose to spend this on a double neck guitar. That's the most 17-year-old with unexpected $2,000 to blow purchase ever. Would be even better if they didn't know how to play guitar. Even if you know how to play guitar, playing a double neck is a totally different beast because most people never even lay hands on a 12-string. Could have been a bass guitar combo. Less likely but completely possible. I'm with you. For someone who doesn't actually make any music, I have a stupid amount of audio production hardware and software. I'm always getting ready to seriously dive in, always about to start taking it seriously. I never do, and at 48 I don't think I ever will. Audio production nerd here. By far the best way is to dive in and not take it seriously. That's the secret to good creativity, and it's a huge advantage as a beginner. Of course getting an ear for frequencies and all the technical stuff only makes it more fun because you can then take the chaos and make it sound good. Hell yes. I'm still amateur as hell, but the improvement between 4 years ago and now is absolutely massive. Never took my own music seriously, it's always just been a fun thing for me to do. My first time in Germany, I was only there for a few months, so I thought I don't need a bond card, I'm not here for a full year. Then I spent well over 1,000 euros on train tickets. The whole time I could have been saving 50% and collecting loyalty points. How the fuck much were you traveling? 1,000 plus in a few months. I know DB is rather expensive, but even going ice all the time is manageable. Also wondering if you can even get a bond card without living here. Ha 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 ha, so 1,000 euros is probably an exaggeration, but I was traveling with the ICE pretty much every weekend for the whole summer. So it was 50 euros to 100 euros every weekend, but it did not need to be that expensive. You can get 3 months bond card, it's what I am doing these days. BC 50 is 80 euros for 3 months, totally worth it. I live in NYC 4 months a year, and I do the exact same thing. Unlimited pass? Ridiculous, only worth it if you take the train every day. Proceeds to average well over 1 train trip a day. For Subway, the unlimited monthly makes sense if you take 11 plus trips per week, so if you just take it to and from work on weekdays, you're better off with the pay-per-ride option. I don't work when I'm there, so I'm just fucking around the whole time. And I'm lazy as shit, so if I go to Manhattan I'll take the train to get somewhere as little as 4 or 5 blocks away. Can easily do 10 plus Subway entries a day. And I've paid for each fucking one. I'm getting the pass this time when I'm back though. I bought several sign language books because I wanted to make friends with a deaf kid at my school. I ended up learning a tiny amount before discovering he was a total creep who wouldn't stop staring at my feet. What? Found the deaf kid. There was a deaf kid at my public junior high. Everyone loved him, his mom was his translator for class, and a lot of his friends knew enough sign language to communicate with him, and he could speak some. He was like the school's crowning glory of diversity and accommodation. Which was great and all, but he was a major asshole, and no one ever held him accountable for it. Bought $50 worth of Beanie Babies because I thought they'd be worth something. Also bad buying those plastic tag protectors and an expensive giant case to display said Beanie Babies to keep them in pristine collectible condition. I have one Beanie Baby left from when I was a kid because it's the one I wanted most, baddie. Last night I was about to put it on eBay to see if I could get anything for it, then decided that my toddler might enjoy playing with it. Ripped off the tag, still in its protector, and it felt so sacrilegious. I like to think that Beanie Babies are all alive like the toys in Toy Story. Every time someone takes one out of storage, rips off the tags, and gives it to a child to play with, the toy finally achieves its true purpose and is fulfilled. I traded a rather rare volume into a local used bookstore because I had 2 of them. Then went back to the bookstore a month later and excitedly bought my own book back because it was rare and I didn't think I owned it. I was wrong. I like to think the same employee that received it from you also sold it to you and was profoundly confused. That's how you do secret trades. Sell a book with hidden messages. Buy book back. Profit. I once spent $15 on a Postmates order for ice cream. Reminds me of when I ordered pizza because I wanted a soda. I have done this more than once. I did this on Halloween once. The driver was dressed as a conehead. Worth the price 100%. The coneheads scare me. Lucky I wasn't you, or you'd be lucky if you didn't have a fear for the coneheads. Deciding to go to grad school in 2012. 5 years after graduating for no other reason than I have no clue what to do with my life. Does it serve any purpose in your life now? Not OP, but I got a master's degree as a way to get out of IT, but had no real plans in place for afterwards. I graduated into the 2008 financial crisis and I'm still working in IT. The master's degree has done absolutely nothing for me except cost me student loan payments. A ton of my co-workers have masters, but it seems the only reason is so they could get education visas to come to America. Almost exclusively they have a bachelor's in their home country and a master's here. And almost exclusively the people I work with that aren't H-1B employees only have a bachelor's. Airplane Wi-Fi. So I could be browsing AskReddit right now. I've spent once $20 on airplane Wi-Fi on a 12-hour flight. Only for Reddit. No regrets. I really don't know why I don't buy it. It's the same price as the drinks that I have no hesitation buying on the odd occasion I forget my own mini bottles. Whoa. You just blew my mind. I can bring mini bottles of scotch on flights. Jesus, this would save so much money. Bought an Odyssey from my Great Dane. Don't know why I bought it, but I think he liked it. So I have this cat that's constantly dressed up in stupid shit, and I know that people judge me for it, but in reality I figured one day that maybe he was constantly biting and scratching me because he was cold. Turns out I was right, and if he doesn't have a sweater on he just goes right back to being an asshole. All in all I would say you made the right choice, and now I no longer judge anyone with any animal in any sort of ridiculous attire, because I would rather have someone think I'm a crazy cat lady than be covered in scratches and bite marks. Kitties like to be squished, makes them feel safe. The sweater squishes your cat so he feels safe. You should look into getting him one of those thunder jackets. Do they still make those? It might be even more effective. A cactus that lights up. You can send it to me LOL. Then the cactus really would be transplanted. It might be couriered to you by both trans and plans. And automobiles. A plan, a man, a canal. Planama. I bought a faceless doll to scare people. Turns out I was the most scared one. Why is there a faceless doll in your closet? I bought it to scare people. Wait a minute, why does it have Ray? Is this a sex doll? I refuse to answer more questions. I got a scary doll too. It was $30. It was so I can creep people out with it. Turns out they're creeped out for the minute they see it, but I saw it every night on my desk in my room, and it creeped me out. One day the hair started moving on its own, and when I checked it out, it was a bunch of small flies. A fly laid its eggs in her hair. It was something like Apple sign doll. Spend over $100 or more buying clothes for my avatar on a virtual reality game when I could have spent it on, actual clothes. Habbo Hotel followed by Team Fortress 2. Yes, Habbo Hotel. Stopped playing it some time and they went to another system or something. You had some time to apply for the migration, but I never knew. Now I can't log in anymore and can only access my rooms through another account. Can't really contact them because well I wasn't old enough and gave a random date of birth. Habbo Retros was where it was at. Free money and unlimited anything. Fresh Hotel and Haboon were the best. I bought a lot of how to kids books. Like how to knit, how to calligraphy, how to paint, how to write poetry, etc. Have I learned how to do a single one of those things? No, I have not edit. Y'all thanks, but I am aware of the existence of YouTube, Google, and libraries. That would be why I'm saying they are dumb purchases LOL. How to Google how to do stuff. Watch How to Basic. Very helpful, 10 out of 10 would recommend. I bought an $80 pen one time. Edit. I was about 8 years old and was driving to Florida from New York with my dad and sisters. My dad is super showy and I have no idea where he got the money, so at a rest stop, he handed us each a $100 bill and said get whatever you want. So I bought the pen for $80. He was not happy when I got back to the car. Edit. My father and I don't get along, and one of the reasons is he throws money at everything instead of actually solving the problem. So this was basically just to keep 3 little girls quiet during a 19-hour drive. It was pretty typical of him. Edit. I'm 33 and no longer have the pen. IDK what happened to it over the years, but I hope someone who loves pens found it and gave it a nice life. Getting home drunk and spending $15 on the Animal Crossing app. This has happened 3 times. I had a thing where I would spend $40 on Animal Crossing monthly, got rid of the app. Was obsessed with a dress-up game 2 years ago. It's more detailed and fun than that description gives it credit LOL, and fuck me. I spent $1,000 on that fucking game over the course of a year. Granted it was kinda a way of coping with other stuff in my life. Like oh sweet. I got through this shitty week. This means you can spend $20 on virtual clothes. Finally dropped that shit. But man, I still feel the urge to play it all the time. I re-downloaded it once during a rough period, spent $15, then promptly deleted it a day later. I know it's not a traditional addiction, but I seriously believe I have an addiction to that game. It's been 2 years, and I still get random urges to download it again. I commissioned an artist to paint a portrait of my then-girlfriend's dying pet rat. She had told me her rat was about to die a month before I got it. By the time it was ready, the relationship had ended and I didn't know what to do with it. I paid $90 for it, and it was absolutely worth the price. Artist did an amazing job, I just didn't have anyone to give it to now. I ended up giving it to her anyway. I regret doing that since I probably just made her feel guilty. Thing is, I was fully aware we were about to break up. I just liked her so much and I was totally alone in a new state. I didn't think I was good enough to earn her love, so I tried to buy it. Real dumb. Honestly, if it meant something to her, it wasn't dumb. The house in 2007, it's still not worth as much as we paid for it. My parents bought in 2004. Around 2012 to 2013 when I was applying for the FAFSA, it gave an error when I entered that their mortgage was more than the house is worth. Edited for grammar. So what did you do? I remember calling the FAFSA technical support line. I think they changed the error into a warning, so I was able to submit it. $400 fish tank lighting. I wasn't carpenter enough to build the hood to mount it. It sits in the basement as a monument of my idiocy. In the past I convinced me parents to spend $500 for fish stuff. I don't know how they were convinced. They are your parents, they love you and just wanted to support your hobby as it made you happy. The older I get, the more I realize this. My parents paid out so much money over the dumbest shit for me. I had accidentally doubled my dose of pain meds right before I went to go see a showing of the film Drive. On my walk home I ordered a pair of what I thought was the gloves Ryan Gosling's character wears in the film. A week later I got them in the mail and realized they were 3 sizes too big and an entirely different color. $160 down the toilet. That night I took my Ambien and apparently decided to try again after staying on the computer after my sleep meds had kicked in. I bought the same pair of gloves. Ambien really fucks with you. When I take Ambien at night the cell phone and computer go off. I texted my GF once after the Ambien kicked in. Here's a quote. Gibberish. No way Roseanne was on Ambien when she wrote those racist tweets. That was her excuse. An ex broke up with me. She was the first person I dated and didn't really know how to navigate the breakup, so I bought her a really thoughtful gift for her birthday a month later. What a waste of money and time looking back on it. There's a lot of things I'd regret more than a gift for someone else. She obviously mattered at some point. I have one friend who buys their SOs very nice gifts after they've dated for only a few months. Like $300 paintings or a nice vinyl player and speakers. The problem is not that these people mattered to my friend, but that my friend tries desperate to buy longevity, and the recipients take the gifts indifferently accepts them before breaking it off. My friends admitted to me that those gifts in retrospect feel very shameful. This kills me every time I remember it, and it's honestly made me into the extreme money saver I am today. When I was younger, my family visited Niagara Falls. I had $50, which is a lot for a kid with no job, and was excited to buy some souvenirs. I spent it all on keychains. I only got like 6 of them, which made it to $50. They were all of the same place, too. It's not like they were from different cities. I wasted all the money I owned on freaking keychains. Who even uses those? It haunts me to this day. When we went to Disneyland, I had enough money for one souvenir, and I bought the first thing I saw. A pair of slippers. So dumb. I didn't even wear slippers. Later, I saw coffee mugs, and I do drink coffee. But I didn't have any money left. I did eventually wear the slippers, and they wore out much faster than a coffee mug would have, and every time I wore them, I was bitter that I had slippers instead of a coffee mug. $200 Gucci slides for my high school graduation. I bought Gucci flip-flops because of rap music. They're the right size, but they cut up my feet if I walk more than what I assume is 3 times the perimeter of an average pool. Yeah, I bought them for the joke of saying I wore Gucci slides to my high school graduation, but they aren't even that comfortable, so I just resold them to someone. Glad it's not just me. Mine cut up my feet big time, so no longer use them. Should really sell them. When I was 7, I saved up for a 1-foot-high porcelain Dalmatian from a department store. My pocket money was £1 per week. The dog cost £27. My mother still has it at her house. It's the kind of thing a 70-year-old would buy. I have no fucking idea what was going on in my head. Edit. I think it was ceramic, not specifically porcelain. Maybe as tall as 18 inches. This is the closest I could find. I was obsessed with getting it, and I never had buyer remorse. It's also so completely out of character. OMG, when I was in 1st grade, we got school bucks for good behavior, and we could buy things with them at the school store once a week. One of those things was a ceramic bunny, and when it was my turn to buy something, I raced over to get that bunny, so no one else would get it first. No one else was going for that bunny. After I thought about it, I was like, WTF was I so worried about? Anyway, the reason I wanted it so much was to give it to my mom as a gift, and she kept it for ages. Those claw covers for cats to stop them from scratching up your furniture. They were ripped off the next day. He was gnawing at his little feet until everyone was gone. Kitten mittens? Is your cat making too much noise all the time? Is your cat constantly stomping around driving you crazy? Is your cat clawing at your furniture? Think there's no answer? You're so stupid. There is? Kitten mittens. Finally, there is an elegant, comfortable mitten for cats. I couldn't hear anything. Is your cat one-legged? Is your cat fat, skinny, or an in-between? That doesn't matter, cause one size fits all. Kitten mittens. You'll be smitten. So come on down to Patty's Pub. We're the home of the original kitten mittens. Meow. $75 in plants only to let them die because I forgot about them. There should be like an SPCA for plants. You know, some place you can guiltlessly drop off your mangy neglected plant, and after a week of it sitting sadly on display, it gets taken out back and gassed. There's something similar at stores like Home Depot that gardeners call death row. It's the bargain rack of near-dead plants that are dollar store priced. Take them home and treat them right, and they come back to life in no time. If you want to learn more about gardening and plants, it's also a cheap way to do it. I've learned so much reviving dying plants. I bought books when I was in 1st semester, later realized that I could have read online. so sold them after the semester. After my first semester and realizing that not every teacher even used the books, I waited until I got the syllabus for each class to see if we in fact needed them. This was when shipping still took 7 to 10 days too, so I would just use the library copy, if available, or share with a classmate until I got the ones in the mail. But still, I felt good about saving a few $100s every semester. It's still an insane ripoff though. The only thing worse than the price of books in college are the professors who force students into purchasing the ones they wrote themselves. Power to the ones that scam them and emailed their students PDFs. Edit. Thank you for the gold. I went on a first date with the girl that I liked. We live in New Jersey, and it was July, so obviously I took her to the boardwalk. While we were there I saw a vendor selling hermit crabs, and my dumbest thought it'd be funny to buy them as a joke and try to impress her. I then realized after spending $30 on 2 crabs, 2 because one would get lonely, that I needed a proper setup. So we went to PetSmart and got a tank, food, sand, and a log for them to play on. Long story short, I spent over $100 on hermit crabs and supplies. Not to mention that the girl completely friend-zoned me, which is okay because now I have my 2 crabs, pickles and Georges to keep me company. Well, now you have a story about getting crabs on a first date.
Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video. Tell me what you dislike or love about this video, so please comment below and hit the bell icon so you're notified anytime a new video is released. This is a WeCrow Media production.